It only took 10 years to get this bike this dirty. 10 years of chain oil, 10 years of brake dust, 10 years of riding through dark British winters. But now, this Fireblade belongs to me, and if it's going to stay, it has to be clean. Starting right at the beginning then, did you know that dirt falls into two camps? Oil-based, like the stuff flung from your chain, and non-oil-based, like mud or traffic film. Both need to be cleaned in order and in different ways. Because we finish by washing the bike with water, we start at the opposite end and clean off the oily grime first. Okay, so start by finding the right place to do it. A flat bit of concrete is best, as the degreasers we're going to use will attack tarmac in seconds. I've put cardboard down to catch the years of accumulated grime, but even so the concrete is still going to get a little stained, so I've picked somewhere that doesn't really matter. A centre or paddock stand like the one I'm using here makes cleaning much easier because you can spin the rear wheel and chain. Now I always make sure my bike is stone cold before I start, because some degreasers can affect your paintwork if you leave them to dry out. Because this bike needs a proper clean, I'm taking the lower fairings and belly pan off. It not only means I can clean the panels properly, but also that I can get to the gubbins underneath to clean them too. Make sure you keep all your fasteners safely in a tub with a lid. And most importantly, put your precious panels on a bench so that you can't stand on them. We'll clean them later. Just a couple more points. Use disposable gloves and wear knee pads or kneel on an old bit of carpet. Life is far too short to have knackered knees. Now that we've got the fairings off, we can see the full extent of the oxidisation on the engine casings, as you can see here, and on the radiator, which has taken some of the paint off. And because this bike looks like it hasn't been cleaned for a very long time, we're going to take both the chain guards off and the sprocket cover as well, because there's so much encrusted dirt down here, that's the only way we're going to be able to get to it. Now this Fireblade has a two-piece chain guard. If your bike has a hugger, now is a good time to take that off too. Be aware that many modern bikes have a speedo drive built into the sprocket cover. Disconnect this before you take the cover off. Again, store your nuts and bolts in a tub with a lid and put the guards on the bench for cleaning later. I'm also going to take the brake pads out so I can make a really thorough job of cleaning the calipers. Because the last thing you want is brake pads soaked in WD-40. When you remove the pads, pins and clips, store each side separately in a clearly marked container. Plastic takeaway trays are ideal for this. I'm using a rubber-ended spatula with a soft wooden handle to scrape the worst of the grime off. As you can see, the stuff is almost an inch deep in places. Scrape the inside of the sprocket and chain covers too. The rule of thumb here is to scrape with something softer than whatever it is you're scraping, i.e. don't use a screwdriver or even a nylon scouring pad, as they're both harder than the plastic chain guards, or paint or lacquer, and you will mark them. Okay, so that's all the big bits of crud scraped off, and whilst it's relatively dry, I'm just going to sweep it up with an old dustpan and brush rather than shredding it into my carpet. So now I'm going to spray the rest of the oily dirt with WD-40, starting with the dirtiest bits first, like around the chain, because that's going to give it more time to work. WD-40 is not a degreaser, but it is by far and away the best thing you can use to dislodge years of crud. It's kind to just about everything on your bike, including your chain O-rings. But don't get it on your tyres, brake pads, or controls for that matter, as you'll probably crash. It's kerosene based, so literally dissolves any built-up oil. And after we've used brushes in a minute, you'll see just how great it really is. Spray it on all the mechanical bits and make sure you keep changing your position to catch any bits you've missed. Now that we've covered the whole bike, we'll do a bit of de-chaving and get rid of some of those old tatty stickers. If it's cold, use a hairdryer to warm the stickers up first. Peel them off as slowly as possible to remove as much of the sticky stuff as you can. Then using a bit of duct tape, keep dabbing the remaining sticky stuff until the worst is gone. Again, this will work better if it's warm. Then use a bit of polish to get rid of the final sticky bits. Where the sticker has split like this old security sticker, use some white spirit first to soften it. Then use some more polish to get rid of the residue. If the sticker has left a mark on the paintwork, use some cutting compound. The stuff I'm using here is very aggressive and is literally rubbing the paint away, but boy does it work. Don't be too worried about the leftover polish, as it will go when we wash the bike.